Hello everyone. I guess you weren't expecting to see me in front of this backdrop anytime soon, but I'm back here again. You can see my face rather than just hear my voice. Now, as you're probably all aware after seeing it all over the internet, the new MCU show, well, the first MCU show of a few that they have planned, finished about a week or so ago as of the time of me recording this, and that show, of course, was WandaVision, the MCU's first attempt at a singular TV series that's connected to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And being someone that watched it week by week, I was intrigued to do a video on it, but I didn't quite know how I was going to go about doing a video on it until I thought, I know, I've got the perfect person in mind to talk about the show with, and that is Sawyer, who you may remember from a few collabs that I did last year for The Social Network and for... what was the other one, Sawyer? What was the other one
Inception.
we did? Inception. That's the one. So, for those of you that haven't seen those videos or aren't familiar, this is Sawyer. Sawyer, introduce yourself.
Hello there, guys. It's good to be back. I'm Sawyer Sabol, and I'm excited to talk about WandaVision. That's why I'm wearing my Thanos shirt, because, you know. So.
Nice. Very appropriate attire. So, this is going to be a little bit different because, as you're all aware, my new style of video is a lot more video essay based, and I don't necessarily do straight up reviews anymore. But I wanted to talk about this show because, one, like I said already, it's the MCU's first attempt at a television show that connects to that wider MCU universe. But also, I just kind of want to throw and spitball a few different things about the show and just have a general discussion with Sawyer here about aspects of the show, because I don't know about you, Sawyer, but I have some very strong opinions about certain things in the show. Some good,
For sure.
but also some that I think could be better. So I'm going to start off by asking you, Sawyer, just in general, what was your overall opinion of the show? Did you like it for the most part? Did you not like it? What was your overall thoughts?
Alright, well, before we really dive into that, I think we should emphasize that this will probably be a spoiler review for those who haven't watched it, because it is all out.
That's a
fair
good point.
warning.
Full
Yes,
spoilers.
so-
We're not holding anything back. We're going to be diving very heavily into complete spoiler territory for this discussion. We're not going to hold anything back.
Alright, so my thoughts on it was, it's pretty interesting because I was kind of the person where, like, you said you watched it weekly, and I did that first two, but the first few episodes I wasn't really clicking with, the first three. So I just wanted to do where there was 2 episodes available, and I would binge watch 2 episodes at a time from 3 onwards, because it wasn't really clicking with me. I thought it was cool, the different styles and what they were doing, but I guess like your dad, I was really confused, and I just wanted to know what was going on. So I just wanted to have more content to watch, especially since each episode was really short, which is a complaint I've heard from some people. But once it started to make sense, like once Monica enters, like that intro scene where she comes back and all, and learns about her mom and all, from that point on, I was really hooked with the show, and I was really starting to like it.
Okay, that's quite interesting. And one thing for context of what Sawyer said, this is something that we were talking about before we started recording, is that, like I said before, I watched it week by week as the episodes aired, and I watched it with my dad. And personally, I mean, now that Sawyer said his overall thing, I personally am someone that really enjoyed the intrigue of the first 2 to 3 episodes with the whole sitcom setting and that sort of thing. I really liked it. I mean, at first I thought, and I suppose this is a kind of criticism that I have with the majority of the show, but even though the changing of different sitcoms and different eras of sitcoms through each episode, the one thing I will say is that even though it's nice to see them pay tribute to them, the actual sitcom thing itself wasn't necessarily that funny. I would say the only episode that properly made me laugh when they were going full on for the sitcom approach was probably the second episode where they do the magic show. that episode genuinely had me laughing, but the rest of their attempts at a sitcom, it was rather hit and miss whether it actually, genuinely made me laugh of it. The tribute aspect of that specific style that they're going for and the way they pay homage to different shows, I loved that, but the actual sitcom aspect of the show kind of, I don't know, it didn't quite click with me, and I thought that they could have, really emphasized the humor in a few aspects and really could have gone for a lot more jokes than they actually did. But personally, I preferred the first few episodes that set up a lot of intrigue. I like you said, that from when you started to get that episode where it was fully from Monica's perspective, to kind of put things into perspective that had happened in the previous episodes, I thought every episode up to that point was good, but then when that episode happened, it was starting to get really interesting, and then the middle few episodes where you start to see like a balance of the people trying to investigate the hex and the people inside of it doing the sitcom stuff. I feel like the episodes that had a good balance of them were the ones that were the more interesting ones. And then the series finale happened, and I have mixed feelings about the series finale. It was satisfying, don't get me wrong. I did like certain aspects. I don't know how you feel about the series finale, Sawyer, but I did like certain aspects of it, but for overall I just felt like it was slightly wasted potential, especially with the whole stuck in a sitcom sort of thing that they'd set up at the start.
Yeah, so when we talk about the series finale now, this is where I saw a lot of people were getting annoyed because of, it's funny, people were like, they wasted Quicksilver twice, which now, I know we didn't really talk about this yet, but Quicksilver makes an appearance, but not the Quicksilver from the Marvel movies. It's the Fox X-Men Quicksilver, but it isn't the kind of crossover that everyone was expecting or hyping up, and so a lot of people's expectations were shattered, and I thought it was really funny because I think they pulled a Mandarin from Iron Man 3 with Quicksilver in this. And I thought
that's exactly what I was thinking when it happened. As soon as they did the bait and switch near the end, I was like, they really did it twice. They've done it twice. I can't believe they've done that.
And people were still mad about it, so I thought that was great.
What did you personally think about the whole sitcom thing they were going for, paying tribute to different styles of sitcoms that have happened throughout the years?
I did think that was really cool, but I was confused as to why she was doing this until later on when there's the episode before the finale where you go through a bunch of stuff from her past, and I'm like, okay, now I understand. But that, I mean, I think that's cool that they, let us know why, but as like a viewer coming in and seeing the first few episodes, like, you're going to be confused as, well, why is she doing the sitcom stuff? None of this was referenced in her other appearances. What connection does she have to sitcoms to want to make this reality, with this village or whatever, all sitcom based? So I do like that they, gave us an explanation, but I think it might have been a bit too late for the explanation, and that's what might have turned people off.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that, because I do like how in the first 3 episodes where it does go fully sitcom based and you don't really know what the hell's going on, I do like that, again, like I said earlier, I do feel like they did miss some potential with especially the humorous side of the whole sitcom thing. But one thing I will say is that the way it was executed, you as a viewer, you genuinely didn't know. Like, there were a million possibilities that it could have been. You didn't know at that point that Wanda was the one behind it. Because for a long period of time, I thought to myself that it was a simulation that just so happened to be, for some reason, sitcom themed, and she was stuck in it and she couldn't get out. But it was obviously in the later episodes to come that we find out that she's the one properly behind it. And whilst we're on that sort of topic, especially with the first couple of episodes, I just have to say, and you'll probably agree with me here, Sawyer, that the Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany are absolutely brilliant in this show. Like, I think they're the best they've ever been in the MCU in this show.
Well, that's because they have more time to, flesh their characters out. Because before they only have 5 or 6 minutes because they're side characters in the other movies. For Wanda, her only appearances that I can remember is Age of Ultron, where most of the film she was a villain, and then she turns good at the end. Civil War, so team-up movies. Infinity War, again, team-up movie. Endgame, team-up movie. She hasn't really had a film to really flesh her out, so that's why I'm really excited to see what they do with her in Doctor Strange 2, because there will be more room for her, because it'll be her and Doctor Strange. And for Vision, I think that he's had a lot of development, because I look at him and Jarvis as the same character, so I've seen him throughout. Yeah. So I think that was great too, and again, he was really good in the show as well.
No, I do agree. I feel like, and that's one thing that the show does in general, and as the episodes progress, you start to figure this out. But the fact that this show puts the side characters in the main center stage is probably one of the best choices they could have done for this show, because you don't just get that with Wanda and with Vision, but you also get that with Darcy, who's always a side character in the Thor films, or with Jimmy Woo, who's literally just only in the Ant-Man films for about 5 seconds. And by having them be more central characters in this show, you start to gravitate towards them a lot more. You start to like them a lot more. Because I will admit, in the Thor movies, I always used to find Darcy's character slightly annoying. But I
think a lot of people did.
Yeah, but in WandaVision, she's actually really charming and is incredibly likable from the word go, and it's like this... I can tell it's the same character, but it's just better written. Just in terms of those first 3 episodes, the chemistry between Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany is ridiculously good, and the fact that they are front and center of the whole thing, you can really see their skills coming to fruition. Like, in my opinion, I think Paul Bettany should do more comedy, because I've never seen him really tackle a comedy before, but especially in the second episode, he had me he was the only one genuinely making me laugh.
Yeah, and on top of that, the episode where it's like ripping on the type of film in like Modern Family, where they zoom in on the person, and he's in the van with Darcy, and he just looks at the camera, and that was so funny. There's moments like that, and then it goes to him talking to someone, and it's like an interview style, and it's like, wait, what am I doing here? And he just flies off.
Yeah, I love that whole bit. It's like, what am I even doing here? And he just takes off the mic and just walks off. I love that. There's also a line in the episode where they do the magic act, where like he's trying to act sort of drunk, where he's got chewing gum in his gearing, and there's one line that for some reason made me laugh way more than it should have. Like, he's trying to get the rabbit to come back, and he's like, come back here, I need to pull a hat out of you. Oh god, I really want to see Paul Bettany do more comedic stuff, because if it's as good as what he can do in this show, then I definitely want to see more of it. Elizabeth Olsen also works off of Paul Bettany really well, but I do think Paul Bettany really makes it his own. So, moving on to those, I want to say, middle episodes, where things start to sort of become a bit clearer, but it's still very up in the air. As you like Sawyer said already, that's I think we both agree that's where the show really starts to pick up, in terms of not just the pacing, but just in general.
Well, I was thinking, okay, so this is when the story's gonna come into play, because I know the sitcom stuff was like it was like the gimmick from the market and all, like, oh, they're in a sitcom reality and this and that, but you didn't really know what else was going on. So once we saw Monica and the agents and all that stuff, I'm like, okay, so this is when the plot's gonna get explained to us, exposition dump. But in terms of middle and episodes, I think the main ones that had me like really wanting to see more was one when Quicksilver showed up, and we were like, because my sister had a feeling, because they were hinting at it, that he was gonna come, and instead of the actor that we know from the Age of Ultron, it was the one from Fox, which opened up a whole more can of worms, and we were like, no way. And then, of course, I don't know if it was supposed to be funny or is it supposed to be cool, but I couldn't take it seriously when you find out who the main villain is, and then it does that song.
I have things to say about that episode, because even though it was even though the idea of that was interesting, I thought the execution could have been a lot better.
It's cringy.
But I'll save that for when we get to that episode, because I just want to discuss something about something you've just said. That whole thing about the Quicksilver reveal, the fact that a lot of people were expecting, was it Aaron Taylor Johnson, but we instead got Luke, not Luke Peters, Evan Peters.
Evan Peters, yeah.
I apparently some people were already suspecting that. Like, there were rough rumors around the internet that was going to happen. I
heard about that too.
idea. I had no idea beforehand. So when he did appear, my jaw was on the floor, because I didn't
expect it either, because I just thought it was the internet being the internet, just saying silly stuff. I mean, I heard about it, but that was like that was when the Super Bowl trailer came out last year. That's when I heard about it. So that was forever ago. So I'm like, well, it hasn't resurfaced. Maybe it was just people speculating or, theories. But and then when he showed up, I instantly thought of, oh, this was real,
Yeah, no, I was kind of the same, because I genuinely had no idea. And no offense to Aaron Taylor Johnson, but like, if you're going to make me choose between which Quicksilver I prefer, I'm always going to go with Evan Peters, because
for sure.
First of all, he was just handled so much better in the X-Men films. Like, say what you will about the later X-Men films, they do get a bit
horrible.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it. But I feel like he's one of the main elements that kept the movies afloat, even though he was always a side character.
Absolutely.
I'd always be interested to see what they do with him next. Whereas unfortunately, Aaron Taylor Johnson just got one film and then has never really been. Yeah, he hasn't been addressed in it since. Well, probably now, and even then we don't properly get to see him, which is a shame, because he is a really good actor. Okay, so those middle episodes, I think we're both agreed that, like, the intrigue starts to pick up. We liked where it was going. In my opinion, though, maybe outside of the second to last episode, which I thought was pretty decent, the last 3 episodes are a bit of a mishmash of things that do work and things that don't. And the episodes that I'm referring to are the episode which is fully referencing Modern Family, the episode where...
That episode's great.
Yeah, the episode where Agatha, who apparently is the villain, but that's something we'll address in a second, goes through Wanda's past, and we start to know more about Wanda, and then there's the finale. Those 3 episodes, I feel like, I definitely have the most to say about. I don't know if you have the same.
Yeah, for me, like, everyone says the first few episodes were the worst in the show. My opinion, I'm probably gonna change my mind later, but I think the finale might be the worst episode of the show, because why I think that is because there was so much that they could have done different, not just with the Quicksilver thing, and like, it's just like, for example, just how I think it might have been them just tricking us with expectations, because I was hearing it would be an hour long. It was 40 minutes long, because it said 49, but the credits were 10 minutes. So it was basically the same length as the other episodes, so we were lied to about that. The end credit scenes did not get me hyped at all.
No, I they just really raised more questions for me.
Oh, sorry. But
no, they didn't. They didn't get me hyped. I was more just like,
I was like, oh, okay, happened. I'm watching this.
Yeah, all right, what's happened.
Next? yeah, exactly. And I'm like, and like the action was okay, but it hasn't really stuck out. The only thing I remember was the callbacks, like with the ruins, how she used it against Agatha. I thought that was cool. The Vision versus Vision thing was pretty cool.
There was one aspect. There are like, out of that whole finale, I would say the 2 aspects that I really liked was that, again, like you said, the whole callback to the runes. That was really well done.
Yes.
And there's a moment during the Vision versus Vision fight where he doesn't try to defeat him with violence, he tries to defeat him with logic, and that's the most Vision thing they probably could have done.
That was great.
As soon as they started doing that, I was like, this is good. I want more of this. But then the white vision just buggers off and doesn't come
Yeah,
back.
we don't see him again. Where did he go?
Yeah, I mean that's another question that gets like, as much as the finale answers a lot of questions, it also just raises a load of new ones. Like, where's White Vision gone? What's going to happen to Wanda? It's just, I don't know.
I do have to say, another thing that I thought was annoying is we didn't really have a clear antagonist, which everyone was trying to say that's good. Like, me personally, I thought Wanda was the villain the whole time. That's what my theory was. I was positive she would be the villain in Doctor Strange 2, and this was her losing her mind over this and that. But then we get Agatha, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, that whole episode where you find out that Agatha's the main bad guy. I mean, first of all, when the reveal happened, I was like, who's Agatha Harkness? But then you've got the whole thing of like, it happens very quickly and suddenly at the end of the episode, and I think that's one of the main issues. Like, they don't, like, I understand that the fake character that she was putting on throughout the whole thing of Agnes, that was there throughout the whole thing, but like, there wasn't really much set up for it. It just kind of, oh, there's the plot twist, and it's
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
You
it
didn't
was without the.
They didn't set it up. They just kind of did it, and then we're all expected to just go along with it. But it I don't know. It just felt like a bit wasted potential, and it just felt like they just came up with it out of nowhere. And I do agree with what you said. If Wanda was the main villain, then it would have, one, made a lot more sense for setting up future things, and two, would have been more compelling, especially considering you as a viewer
have followed her as like a hero. So seeing her, on the other side is kind of interesting, but also relatable because you understand everything she went through. And it is kind of unfair because after the snap brought everyone back, she still doesn't have Vision. Her brother's gone. Her parents are gone. She never really had the Avengers. They say that they were all family. I'm like, are they though? Because she's on her own just driving around being sad.
Yeah, I will say one thing. There was one aspect of the finale that I genuinely loved, and that's the moment where she has to say goodbye to her children and to Vision.
The end in there where everyone basically disappears. I was like, okay, that was kind of dark.
I wouldn't say it got me emotionally as, say, everyone disintegrating at the end of Infinity War,
not even close.
or Tony Stark dying at the end of Endgame. I feel like it's in terms of effectiveness at being emotional, it's just below those. But I still thought, for what it was going for, again, I felt like it wrapped it up a bit too quickly. But for what it was going for, I thought it was good, and it did put a lump in my throat, and it was really effective. So, with all that being said, Sawyer, if you had to give the show a rating of some sorts, what would you give it?
Well, going into this, I was thinking 7 out of 10, but after everything we discussed and how there was a lot more critiques that we had about it, I'm going with a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, no, I think a 6 is just right, because even though the show does quite a few things right, I feel like, well, like I said before, a lot of it is sort of wasted potential, and they could have done so much more with a lot of the things that they set up in this show. But for what it's worth, and considering this is Marvel, or the MCU's first attempt at a TV show, I think it's pretty good. It's not that bad, but it's also not as good as it could have been. I'm happy with saying a 6 as well. So now that we've probably talked way too much about WandaVision,
for sure, it's probably our longest collab.
Yeah, definitely. Even though I've probably cut this down considerably, it's probably still going to be very, very long. But we had a lot to say about the show.
Indeed, we did.
So on that note, Sawyer, is there anything you want to say before we finish off?
Again, thank you for having me once again. I'm always down to collab. If anyone's down to, because I do like talking with other people that have the same interests as me. And also, I do have a YouTube channel where it's pretty much similar to Aaron's here. I do movie reviews, video game reviews, etc. And I also have a Twitter.
Cool. Like he said, go subscribe to Sawyer's channel. It's great. Also, follow him on Twitter as well. Pretty much, like he said, talks about similar stuff to me. Also, guys, remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I want to also see what the comments say about WandaVision as well.
Indeed,
I'll be really
I would like to.
Yeah, I'd be really interested to start a discussion in the comments, because this conversation we've had is literally just the start. We could carry on for ages in the comments talking about the show, what works about it, what doesn't. So if you have any comments to say about WandaVision, please let us both know in the comments. We'll happily read them. We're really interested to see what everyone's opinion is on the show, because it's a very divisive one, that's for sure.
Yes, it is.
If you like the video, then give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye.